Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I am here with something maybe a little more my style. I love doing the hops. I love scrap lifting and the sketches and the challenges. They make me super excited. It gives me encouragement and inspiration, and it is tons of fun. However, the way that I would normally scrapbook if I am just sitting in my scrapbook space and doing my thing is super random, which is why I titled my channel Scrapping on the Fly, because I rarely plan. Like, I typically am planning even like the scrap lifts and the hops and all the different things, like spur of the moment right before I hit record. Sometimes I have to edit a lot out because I'm like picking things as I go. I don't always plan, so that's just pretty typical for me. So if you watched my, oh, you know what? If I post this before, anyway, spoiler alert, Wednesday, you'll see this. So depending on when this gets posted, you may have seen me use this Honey and Spice by Heidi Swap, or it may look familiar when Wednesday's May I Scraplift You comes up. So whatever happens. I pulled this down from my shelf because I had 2 full pieces of paper, a bunch of random scraps, a ton of the branding strips because the top of the paper pad is has a branding strip that matches like a page in the book. And so I bought this branding, so there were 36 papers in here, and I have used all but 1 full sheet and a scrap. So the paper pad itself is now empty, and this is all I have left. So this is my full sheet. I have this sheet that I cut a circle out of. I have, well, okay, that's not, well, this is almost a full sheet. I just cut this out for Wednesday's layout, so but other than that, this is a full sheet, and they are not double-sided. And then I just have these handful of bigger scraps. Pardon all that noise, I hate all that sound. These bigger scraps here, and then 1 more little partial cut apart, and then other than that, like I said, I have branding strips, little bits and pieces. Yes, I'm a hoarder. I know I keep way too much. However, I will probably pitch anything like this if I don't use it on this layout. So I have just these little bits and pieces. So what I thought I would do is, see, that's just silly. I thought I would come on. I almost did it as a live, but I'm a little nervous for that still, just because there's just no telling what's going to happen, and I can always go back and edit this if it's too long, if it is too wordy, if I make like an absolute disaster of a mess. And I don't mind to leave those in my video because I do like people to know that I totally make mistakes and how I fix them. But you know, if I made a humongous mess, or if I absolutely hated the layout, which has never happened yet. I don't always like the layout so much, but I either work on it until I do like it, or I just keep, you know, at it, or put it away and come back to it another day. So I thought I would take all of this hot mess and make a layout with as many of the scraps as I can. I definitely want to use the 2 bigger pieces of paper, at least a couple of the cut aparts, maybe some of the branding strips, and the bigger pieces. I'd love to get that stuff used up so I could just put this with the rest of my scrap stash and go from there. So let's see how this goes, right? Okay, so I was unable to leave this in its full entirety because I don't want to lose all of my subscribers. It was 54 minutes. So I'm good at rambling, you all. That's why when I learned how to edit, it made my life and yours better. So anyhow, I'm just going to talk you through this part, and I will work on shortening them if you all are interested in me doing any lives or doing these like instant on the fly kind of scrapping like I like to do. So I took this circle and I had considered putting it, the paper in front of it and matting it with that. But I really just wanted to do something kind of fun and different with it. So I put the circle up here as far as I could, leaving enough of a space. Unfortunately, there was like a little rip in the circle from where I cut it out of my Cricut. And it tore, but I do ink it down, or I keep saying ink, I glue it down and it's fine. This is the pictures that I took at the beach. And I'm about to pull out this stash right here. That is all a matter of pictures that I took in probably 2.5 hours. Yeah, we went to this little beach at the end of this road where we were staying at the beach house, and one that we rent. And so while we were there, we went down to this place where the kiddos could go out in the water, and there was a lot of like sand dunes and stuff for them to go stand out on. So anyway, this is pictures of my husband walking our dog, and it's like a progression, you know, he's further away and he gets closer. And so I am matting him on this bicycle paper because the layout that'll go across from this is the layout I do on Wednesday. So maybe in the future, maybe in the past, I don't know. And I use that bicycle paper. I use this floral paper. I think that might be all that I use, but the colors are the same because it's all from this collection. So I put these down in just like a film strip fashion with a little bit of gap between them. They're all double matted, and I leave that floral paper intact instead of cutting in between. And I'm just going to layer a bunch of layers together. And this is a really good way to use up scraps, is just by tucking in things wherever. So I don't want to completely hide the fact that there's this circle, because that's kind of the whole point of what I was doing, is I wanted that circular feature. So I don't want to completely cover that up, but I do want to add layers, and I don't mind covering the bottom part or the side part or, you know, whatever. But I want to make sure that you can still tell there's this big circle in there. And so what I did was just start cutting these layers from all the scraps I had left that would work for what I was doing. And I use the two main pieces that you already seen me attach, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scraps from this pile of over here. And I've got my arms flailing. You all, I am telling you all sorts of things. I mean, like, you all know my whole life story by the end of this video. So it's probably better that you didn't hear all of that. So anyway, I tucked this piece right here, and I like the way this looks. I had it the other way, and it wasn't going to work for me. So I like this much better. I do end up covering that black piece and bringing in another, because I can't get it up. It's going to be stuck. So, I mean, typically that's not how I use my layers, by burying them behind things. I'm actually a paper hoarder, and I almost always would have cut and just put the piece of paper down that you could see. But that's just not what happened, and I wasn't going to fight with it. So I just layer all these papers up and make sure the bottom of the circle is covered, because I don't want like a gap to where you can see the circle. So I just bring it down, but I also don't want to cover too much of that peachy orange color, because I really like that color. It's really pretty. And I really am loving the way this looks. I love that it's just layer upon layer, and there's still lots of different shapes and features. And just to make this stand out a little more, I take this Creative Memories pen or marker, and I draw all the way around anywhere there is a surface. So I did not draw on the layers, but I drew the outside of that circle piece, and then I end up going into the circle and tracing around the circle as well, and tracing those little stair steps right there. And of course I'm going to cover one of those over, but I fix that by tracing that stair step again once I put the next thing on there. So I do not over embellish. This is all I have left of the little bits and strips, and then I have two cut aparts that are partials. And this is what I want to pull my title from. The Just Have Fun would be okay, but that You Are the Best Thing That's Happened to Me is probably more fitting because my husband and our dog have this really wonderful connection. They are the best of buddies, and she has definitely been a support system for him when he's needed it. So I think that this is super fitting. And because him and Tinkerbell are definitely good buddies. So I totally cut that. It is super crooked. So I put it on my trimmer and at least make the top line straight, even if the whole thing's not straight. It is, which is what I'm doing right now. And then I lay it down on my mat to see if it's like anywhere near okay. And then I'm going to just put some double-sided tape on here. And then I'm going to tuck it in behind the pictures to where you can just barely see all the words to and me at the bottom. And that way it's not covering too much, but it completely covers that black floral paper. And like I said, that is not normally how I use my papers. But, you know, it is what it is. And I want to tuck this black floral other scrap that I have and put it back there behind there. So it adds that extra layer of color. It brings that green and the black in that is across the layout. And just tuck it a little bit into that circle so it's not overlaying on the top of the circle. So I get all that down. And then I want to put this little Good Vibes, which is in that green color as well. So now I have a diagonal of the green, that strip of paper, the Good Vibes, and then the little leafy bit that is up in the top corner of that black paper I tucked in. And then I honestly am happy with the way this looks, even without adding any embellishments. But I honestly will bring in 4 embellishments to finish this layout off. And this one is a little, it's a jar, and these are Forever in Time, and I've used them on my layouts previously. It just says Enjoy Life, and it's green, and I mat it on white so it stands out, and I just tuck it in a little bit right here on the left. And then I get out these Crafter Square, which are from the dollar store, and these are the Discover ones. So I pull out an anchor because it's super cute. And if I could find these again, I would totally get them just because that anchor is so cute. And there is also a strip of like waves. And it is, it's perfect. And I think that it's going to look really good right here underneath where it says Good Vibes. And then I put the anchor above that. And I am going to use my Nuvo Deluxe to adhere that down. They are super, super sticky. But it's not even that it's from the dollar store. I don't even trust like thickers and all of that kind of stuff because they lose their sticky. And so it's just better to put some adhesive in there now than to find all my titles and little tidbits on the floor or on the bottom of my scrapbook layout. You know, the page protectors. That's the word I'm looking for, you all. I love that there is a frame around this. And I got to thinking, ooh, that would be so cute. But it's too big for the 3 picture, or too big for the 2 pictures, too small for the 3, too far over just to use one on that one. But I am definitely going to use that in a very similar fashion to do that in the future. To where I'll do something like this film strip and maybe have a bigger separation in between so that I can put that frame or a frame like it over it. So I decide that it does need a little something. I don't want to add a whole lot more because I really am happy with the way this looks. I used up a ton of my scraps, and so I decide to get out my inks. My favorite inks to use with my dog are the Tim Holtz Distress Mica inks, but I didn't bring in any gold or anything on this layout. I actually have that silver, so I don't want to use my Mica Mist in brass or in bronze because they are too more goldy looking. So I decide just to use the pewter. And I just tap it in the bottom left corner, the bottom right, and kind of over there on the side towards the top right, because it helps just add a little something to tie it all together. And so I'm really happy with the way this looks. It's super simple, pretty flat, but lots of layers. And I've got my triangle of the silver. And I really just love how different this is and super random. So here are some close-ups, and then I'm going to show you what I have left of my scraps. I'll cut the cut-aparts up and put them with the bigger pieces of scrap paper. I'll bind them together and with like a little binder clip, and then I'll put the little thin branding strips. If they're broken or torn, I'll put them in the trash, and if not, they will go in my branding strip container. So I hope you all enjoyed this. Please let me know below if you all are at all interested in me doing a live, doing more of these kind of videos where I am just kind of off the cuff building things, where there's no planning or anything involved. I would love to know, because I don't mind doing them. And so I hope you all have a great night and happy scrapping.